G'day, Eric Bakker, naturopath. I want to talk today about a condition which many women tend to suffer with, a condition that I've been in contact with on many occasions by women who would really love to get rid of this condition. And I'm sure many of you looking at this webpage right now may well be familiar with this condition. It's called vaginal thrush or a yeast infection. It's more common than you think. And a couple of weeks ago, a lady spoke with me on Skype and said, Eric, I've had this for a while now, and can you tell me what are the consequences if I don't get rid of my infection? What could happen to me if I just ignore it and treat it with things like monostat, or it keeps on recurring? And I'm sure that many of you women watching this will have had recurring vaginal yeast infections and probably think nothing of them. And think, well, it's just a bit of an irritation down there, a bit of an itch, and it'll probably go away on its own accord. Now, in some cases it will go away on its own accord, but in many cases it won't, and it'll be chronic and recurring. So what do? Do you go back to the doctor and keep taking monostat, fluconazole? What do you do if you can't get rid of this yeast infection? You just keep relying on symptomatic treatment, hoping one day it will go away forever? Hoping that the pain's going to go, the embarrassing odour and the itching? It won't go away. In some cases it will. In a small percentage of cases, vaginal yeast infection will disappear in its own right, but in many cases it will not go away, and it can be chronic and recurring, and it can last for many, many years. Some patients I see have had this condition for 10, 15, even 20 years, and it just doesn't seem to go away. The consequences can be quite severe for a chronic yeast infection. Think about it. They can be quite severe. Why would you keep on having a symptom that's causing you so much discomfort and pain? It could even cost you your relationship. It's really worth getting rid of this yeast infection. And for this reason, I've written a whole section in my book, Chapter 5, on how to get rid of these chronic yeast infections. I've helped many women get rid of these problems. And a lot of the tips in this chapter are priceless and are absolutely worth the cost of the book alone. One of the things that you may get as a consequence from a chronic yeast infection is endometriosis. It's a condition I've written about at length in my book. There's plenty of research. Some people have approached me and said, Eric, this is not true. You're speaking a load of nonsense. Or you go and do the research and you'll find endometriosis is linked with yeast infections in many cases. And endometriosis can even be linked with infertility. I'm not saying that yeast infections cause infertility. But what I am saying is many cases of endo have been linked with chronic vaginal yeast infections. So doesn't it pay to get more involved in preventative medicine, to get rid of an embarrassing, itchy, smelly problem now or sooner rather than later, or keep living with this chronic, awful problem that's causing you so much discomfort? So think about it. If you want a solution, I've written extensively in my book Candida Crusher about this solution. Have a listen to one of the audio testimonials of a lady who got rid of her yeast infection using my method. You'll find it on this page just down below. This is a real case. And there are many more of these cases going up. I've had phenomenal success with these vaginal infections. So if you're serious about beating your infection, you read Chapter 5, you put my protocol into place. If it doesn't work, you let me know. You'll get a refund of my book, and you'll certainly get some personal attention from me, because I'm convinced that if you really follow the protocol properly and you really do what it takes to beat this thing, you'll finally beat it. And then you've got rid of that embarrassing situation that you've got down there. And it can make a huge difference to the quality of your life. So take my word for it. Do not ignore a chronic yeast infection, because the consequences can be severe, as they can with any problem that you tend to ignore. Thank you.